Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for live full-time reaction to Aberdeen 3, Celtic 3, Pittodrie. I'm joined today by Mark and Kenny to go through the game. This is a live chat format. You can ask your questions below. You can ask super chats as well. Kenny, that's another roller coaster 90 minutes for us, and at the end of the day, it's more points dropped.
It is, yeah. I mean, we can't really call that a controlled performance, can we? I'm surprised, actually, we got ourselves into a position where we're going to take the lead. I thought he picked the right team. I was pleased when the team came out. He was sensible enough to go back to 4 at the back, which obviously I think is the way we need to go until we get more personnel fit. He was brave enough to drop Scott Brown, which I think is a reasonable thing to do, given Brown's been a bit passive, and Charm, at least against Milan, was starting to show that he perhaps had a bit more desire back. So I think his team was right. But given all that's going on, you expect him to come out the traps. You expect him to take the game to Aberdeen and with movement and desire, and they didn't. The first half just passed them by. Elyounoussi, no quality, no real movement in the final third. Elyounoussi and Christie are playing in wider positions, but they're coming inside. They're crowding an area where Rogic is. McInnes speaks at length about Tom Rogic in the past. He knows he's really wary of Rogic, and they were crowding him out. So why are Elyounoussi and Christie coming in and exacerbating that situation? We're not playing with any intelligence in the final third. We've not been for a long time. And then an individual error from Nchan puts you behind. But then we came out in the second half and you saw the change. You saw it was like a switch. You saw their impetus. The guys like Christie, who've not signed a contract and have not been looking that interested, came out and they actually looked like they were going to try and get us out of a hole. Why didn't we see that from the start? And then another, we did have some good quality, which we'll talk about, but another individual error from Shane Duffy, puts us behind again. And then what the biggest frustration for me, that final 15 minutes when we somehow managed to get ourselves in a winning position, I've no idea how, we just got deeper and deeper and less professional and giving away cheap free kicks, allowing them to build belief that they were actually going to get an equaliser instead of just seeing that out in a professional way. I've no idea why we dropped so deep. The likes of McGregor was playing, on the D. It was crazy, and they deserved that point. Aberdeen, frustrating in the end, but it's not a good extension to what has been a pretty, let's face it, alarming couple of weeks.
Aye, absolutely, Martin. As Kenny says, that first half it just passed us by. We're looking for a reaction after back-to-back defeats, and nothing happened in the first half. Okay, we had a lot of the ball, but it was just non-threatening possession. We couldn't get the ball into a Yeti. We couldn't really build attacks of any substance, any significance. And that's much of what we've seen for weeks and months now.
Absolutely. The intensity wasn't there in the first half. The crosses were deplorable. Can't remember because it was in the dangerous area. In fact, all the crosses were really deep. And more often not went away. Really frustrating. I thought I couldn't agree with him more. I thought the team gave us some hope, and Rogic in the middle. If you give him the ball in the middle, he'll drive ball. As Kenny says, in too congested an area, he struggles, and often the players will get in wood. And we didn't usually have the hole today. It's good to see going forward at the back. The few white players, I thought Elyounoussi was poor for the whole game. So he was really disappointing because he wasn't as effective as he normally be. So we didn't get much up. Wings the ball and it was just trying to come through the middle, but for all the position we had in first half, we hardly created anything. I think Yeti had 7 touches in first half and they were all around about half-way line. He was coming deep, he was really frustrated. So it didn't work at all, and the difference going into the second half was you see those energy levels and the intensity, and we probably had 2 spells of that in the second half, or 10-minute spells, but that's not nearly enough for a Celtic team and again the last 90 minutes. 20 minutes worth of tempo intensity, team working together, running it all over the pitch, everybody wanting the ball and moving the ball a bit quicker. I get times today where we want to take a touch and then look at the options, and it was just a bit for far too long in the first half. So really disappointed, and I don't think asking one of the players will come out and give us a reaction for Lenny, because you hear some of the stats if to lose 3 games in the trot in 9 minutes for time go back 20 years, 20 plus years if that was to happen. So was really worried we were going to lose the game, but to get ahead and come back from 2-1 then go 3-2 up, you thought, right, as Kenny says, let's see the game out. But you just had a horrible feeling they were going to score, and of course they did.
Yeah, A few comments there about Martin's sound. It's coming through a little bit jumpy. We're going to try and sort that out. Kenny, do you think, obviously in Cham, we're in the first half, and for all we've not had too many chances, Aberdeen haven't had many chances either, but I could tell as soon as that ball got played down the channel that Cham was going to foul Ferguson. You could see it happening a mile away.
It kind of just epitomises Cham in that he does a lot of good stuff, but he's a dreamer. He's really lax defensively. People run off him all over the place. Even before he gave away the penalty, his mind had gone. He had no idea Ferguson was running in behind him. It was his man. He should be tracking the runner. And then he commits the biggest crime of all. When Ferguson's in a reasonably unthreatening position, he just throws him to the ground. I thought Cham actually probably had a reasonable first half because he's a talented man, and especially when he's playing in that deeper position. He gets his head up, he's got power, he's got a good long-range pass, and we can utilise him. But you can't have one of your defensive central midfielders playing when he doesn't know how to defend. He just can't. It's been his biggest weakness ever since he came to the club. And his deal's up in 2022. They've taken the decision not to sell him. His value is going to drop at the end of this season. I don't know if there's a future for Olivier Cham. I don't suppose he's going to sign a deal, and he's another one of the, there's a collection of players that aren't, and I think that's actually a big issue in terms of people's motivation. But yeah, really frustrating. I wasn't actually that impressed by Aberdeen. I thought we'd got a sterner test from them. I thought they just came in with a low block. It was like playing a sort of mid-table team instead of a team that I thought would come and attack us, and we've gifted them that. We go in at half time 0-0. It's a different different psychology.
Yep, I don't think that Aberdeen team is any different to a Derek McInnes Aberdeen team that we've faced for how many seasons now? 5, 6, 7. Like, they still play the same way. And okay, I remember that Boxing Day game where it got a bit mad at the end and ended up 4-3, but they rarely causes too many problems. And today, they didn't cut us open left, right and centre, but it just looks right now like it doesn't take much to cut us open at all. Like, we could not keep chickens out of close at the minute. The team they seem all over the place defensively.
I thought it was a little bit better. I mean, against AC Milan, against Ferencváros, I mean, it was as basic as a punt up the park would almost put them through on goal. And it's embarrassing to have to come here and admit that. But that was the truth of it. It was so bad. I thought it was a little bit better today, and when we went to 4, but it's still nowhere near good enough. It was individual errors more than systematic problems. But in the last 15 minutes, the system did go because we're giving away all sorts of free kicks in dangerous areas, and it was just inviting trouble. I don't know what's going on defensively. We need to get our main players back. We need to get Julian back. We need to get the cam head of Bitton back, and we need to change personnel.
Yeah, 100%. I think the quicker Julian gets back, the better. Martin, we'll try again with the audio, mate. We did get level in the game. It was Tom Rogic linking up with Callum McGregor off the 1-2. I thought in the first half we had chances to play balls through the centre of the park, only a few of them, where space had opened up and we had a chance to maybe get the ball into Rogic's feet. But we kept going wide to a fullback, to Frimpong or to Laxalt. And it wasn't working for us. The moves were breaking down time after time. But then in the second half, you see that little bit of extra impetus and we try and work the ball into the box. McGregor goes for the 1-2 with Rogic. Rogic plays a lovely ball into the box and we've scored a goal. The first time we've penetrated the Aberdeen box. I know that Aberdeen have got bodies in there, but it's the first time we tried to work the ball into the box.
Yeah, absolutely. McGregor and Rogic combination for Portugal was fantastic. The 1-2, playing into Rogic. Rogic's strength, as we all know, is finding that pass. And for that first goal, he looked one way and played the pass the other way. And the pace he put on the pass, he made it easy for McGregor. McGregor made the finish look effortless as well. But that's what Rogic brings to the team. And he's hardly played this year, but when you look at his assists and his goals over the time he's been at Celtic, it's still a game he's contributing, whether he's scoring or setting up a goal. So you can't underestimate the impact that Rogic has the team, and hopefully that we because I was here today. I thought if there's anything to hate on today would be Rogic's contribution. He was involved in a couple of goals, and we just need to get a player around him and take advantage of what he brings to the team. But it was great to see him. A lot of fans have been asking for him to play for a while now, so really delighted to see his contribution today and what his side was. And it's just so clever. He's no set pick out a pass in a congested box, and he did that as a at least try to be just have a goal.
Yeah. We're going to try again with Martin's audio. This is the joys of live broadcasting, Kenny. At 1-1, you think, right, we can go on now. We're back in the game. And then Shane Duffy makes an unbelievable error. I mean, I don't know. We know what his weaknesses are. We know that he's not the fastest, but he just seems to be making these errors. And I don't know if it's coming up here as a Celtic supporter. Like, is it maybe too heavy for him? Is the pressure maybe getting to him? Because, I mean, it's just inexplicable. He tries to, he's got somebody chasing him down, and why does he not go back to the goalkeeper? Put it out for a shy if you have to. If you feel you're under pressure, put it out for a shy. He tries to hook it back over his head almost. And then the ball comes into the box. Ayer's a mile off. Cosgrove lets him turn. And then after that, it just gets bundled in. But so poor for Duffy.
Yeah, I'm completely perplexed by what he's contributing now. If we'd signed him from overseas and we'd never heard of him, then you just think, well, that's a bad move we've made. The guy's been an ever-present in the English Premier League. Not that long ago. Now, he'd been facing a lot. He'd be facing the best strikers in the world. I'm sure he couldn't be making that level of error facing some of the best strikers in the world. So what's going on? Why can't he cope with Aberdeen? Why can't he cope with mediocre Scottish sides? I think it is just maybe the weight of the badge is something that might be an explanation. That and the fact that his head and his confidence is just completely shattered, and it looks bad because he's not. When we knew we were signing a rough player, we knew we were signing someone who wasn't a smooth ball playing centre half that was going to make us look pretty attractive back there. So when someone like that, their head goes down, it almost looks even worse because they just look rugged and they look like they shouldn't be in the jersey. I think he needs dropped. I think he needs to now spend time on the bench to get his head right. The problem we've got is we've got nobody else left. We need to bring Walsh in. And that's really unfair on Walsh. Imagine throwing Walsh in against the team that's top of the French league on Thursday night. It would be completely unfair on him. So we're in a difficult position. I can't explain it, Paul. I don't know how he's performing at that level, but something has got to change.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm looking forward to Julian coming back in the team. But for the same token, I'm quite worried about Julian. He was out with that back injury, and then he was back on the bench for a few weeks before the last international break, and then he's gone out again with the same injury. And a back problem can be problematic. So I don't know what his fitness is like. And as you say, that leaves us with Stephen Welsh. Okay, Beaton's to come back, and so is El Ahmed, but both of them are not natural, bona fide centre halves. So we've definitely big problems in that area. But I think he needs a spell out of the team. Since he arrived, he's just came straight into the team and never came out it, and he's not been playing well enough. So I think he needs to take a few games out, and we need to get Julian back in there. At 65 minutes, 2-1 behind, you're fearing the worst again. Again, we work the ball into the box. It's Tom Rogic again. Aberdeen have got a shout for a foul on the halfway line before it, but Rogic works the ball into Griffiths, and it's an absolutely exceptional strike. Like to find that half a yard and stick it in the far top corner. That's the Griffiths for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is best. And we know that. We know what he's capable of doing. The last time he had a fully fit season where he was in the team, he scored 40 goals. He's capable of that. And I think even on that, we're looking so floundering up front. I would say that on that premise alone, he now starts the next game as your main striker. He's got that jersey until Edward comes back. Even when Edward's back, maybe keep him in the team. It's frustrating that he seems to have taken so long to get himself fit. I, like you, believe he probably should have started against Rangers, irrespective of him being partially fit. But what a strike, yeah. I mean, it was nice to see his player create a couple of goals of real quality today. It was almost felt a bit alien because we've been so bad lately that, for somebody to turn and lace the ball into the top corner was refreshing. And at least we can take that away from it, that we did create something in that second half to build on. But fair play to Griffiths. He's a positive of today, and I think he comes in as your number 9 now.
Yeah, I think there was spells in the game based on what we've watched in recent months where I thought, I don't know how we're going to get back into this. I didn't think we were going to find 3 goals, certainly at one stage, but straight after the Griffiths goal, we go up the park again. Ayer puts the cross in, and El Yunusi, who was poor all round today, does well to just get a foot in the ball, and then he gets fouled, and it's a Stonewall penalty. the pressure's on Ryan Christie and he puts it away, to be fair to him.
Yeah, do you know, I had a bad feeling when he stepped up, because we probably all had flashbacks to his last Derby game penalty, and he looked a wee bit uncomfortable, but I suppose he'd buried a couple for Scotland, and he stroked it home nicely, because that was a real pressure penalty. And I think in the second half he gets past marks as well, Ryan Christie. And a good win from Al Yunusi. It was a Stonewall penalty. I don't actually know if he probably wouldn't have gotten the end of the ball, but that doesn't matter. He created he forced the foul. But he was really poor, Al Yunusi. Irrespective of winning a penalty, when he's picking that ball up, and the amount of times he's giving it away, what's happened to him? We're in October. Last October he was Player of the Month in Scotland, and he just played an outstanding game against Aberdeen in the Scottish Cup semi-final. And I thought at that time, he's worth more than 16 million because he was running riot. Where is he? The reason that he's not done well in England possibly is because he's inconsistent, and that's what we're seeing, an inconsistent player. He needs to up his game, and he needs to be coached to operate a bit better, I think, in the wider areas, because he's drifting inside too much and he's just getting snuffed out. But I was amazed that we got that lead. It just felt so unlikely, and then we'll come on to how we've blown it.
Mm. As you say, I thought back in the game now that's us ahead, but as I mentioned earlier, like the defending right now, you can't be confident that we'll hold on to a lead. And the Aberdeen, the third goal for Aberdeen starts with Scott Wright. He just jogs past about 4 or 5 players. Nobody puts a foot in. Nobody. It looked like he was almost nearly going to lose control at Scott Wright, and there was still nobody there to put any form of a challenge in. And it breaks through to Hedges and he cuts it back. And Callum McGregor, who got booked earlier on in the game today, he put in some stupid challenges. And late on in the game, they all seem to be on Hedges actually. But the ball comes to McLennan and he cuts inside, and Callum McGregor just sticks his right leg up because he knows that he's cut inside him for what is basically an open goal. And it's a Stonewall penalty. Yeah,
I mean, he's left so exposed, McGregor. Yeah, it was a split decision he made to try and bring the guy down. In retrospect, he shouldn't have made it. But, the damage was already done by them just piling forward and us not having the discipline or shape to be able to defend. If there's 5 or 10 minutes in a game, can we not just go back to, a bank of 5 and a bank of 4 and just play with a bit of professionalism? We were all over the place. They were swinging balls in right, left and centre. I thought McGregor, one of our most capable and intelligent players, is giving away these cheap little free kicks when he's on a yellow, and they're swinging the ball in, and it's just all the while it's building their momentum and building their belief. Whereas if we're just snuffing them out that last 10 minutes, taking the ball into the corner, the game dies a death without any thought, and we come away with the points. So it's unlike us. We don't tend to do that. One thing I would say is that we do close games out well when we're 1 goal ahead. This season, even under the difficult conditions, has shown you that. But if that pattern starts developing, we're in trouble because we need to hold on to leads.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a couple of comments in about the goalkeeper as well. Barkas sat out today. There was a super chat earlier on in the video asking, will that get people off Barkas back now that we've conceded 3 when he hasn't been in? But we've talked at length about Barkas so far, but there's no doubt that regardless of who the goalkeeper is, the defending in front of whoever it is right now is just not good enough. And we look like we could concede against anybody at any time, really.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't. A ball into the box is a problem for us, and it shouldn't be because our defenders are 6 foot, our centre backs are 6 foot plus. Mm-hmm. Barkas, he's probably had a bit of a hard time in terms of people are criticising him for almost every touch he makes. That is probably a bit over the top. That being said, he's not looked his contributions have been almost nil, hasn't it? I mean, his presence isn't there. I don't think you can blame Scott Bain. He's let in 3 goals today. One was 2 penalties and one he actually made a good save from. So I don't think Bain, he took a couple of decent crosses. I don't think the Barkas Bain sort of discussion is really something that would have influenced that match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Martin, we'll try once more with the audio, mate. There's been a lot of talk about formations, but we've seen a 4-2-3-1 today. We've seen a midfield that some supporters have been crying out for, with Scott Brown getting a rest, McGregor and Cham and Vogic in that central 3. But do you think today shows how much a factor formation is? Because we've dropped points again, and for much of the game, there still looked to be a sort of malaise where we're not just seeing the real Celtic at the minute. So how much a factor do you think formation is, and how much do you think it's just down to more basic elements of the game?
I think it's the latter, Paul. I think it's the players' application. If you look at the goals they've lost this week, almost every single goal we've had 2 or 3 opportunities on each occasion to prevent the goal. Today, that was the case again. You look at that first goal from when McGregor had a great chance to close out wide in the pitch, and they allowed the ball to be played through both of them, and then Cham just a needless tackle in the middle. The second one, Duff usually cleared the ball, and he came in the middle. Ayers nowhere near his player, and the third one was calamity, wasn't it? It was carnage in the box before McGregor gave away the penalty. So, and the same could be said of the other goals we've lost this week. I think it was one of the goals we lost last weekend. I think it was 8 or 9 opportunities to intercept the ball to win a 50-50. So I'm not convinced it's so much formation. I think it's just players and their desire to win the ball and their desire to clear the ball. And I talked a little bit about cohesion last weekend. I think it's still that. Players get used to each other, and the personnel on the team's changed every single week, 2, 3, 4, 5 changes, which you can't get a settled team. I think it's as much about settled personnel and a settled team than it is about formation. But the frustrating thing is we are losing goals we shouldn't be losing, and mistakes happen in the game. They are going to happen, but when you get second, third, fourth, fifth opportunity to prevent a goal, that's where it becomes extremely frustrating. And that was the case again today. It wasn't a single mistake; it was 2 or 3 mistakes in the build up to the goal. And the team lacking in confidence. It's quite clear. It's been a bad week at the office.
Yeah, Kenny, this is doing no favours for some supporters' opinion where Neil Lennon is at in terms of his position as manager now. We are trailing 6 points if Rangers win today. Is that correct?
It would be, yeah.
4 down to 3, so 6 points. Still a game in hand, but where are we at now? Where do you think we're at in terms of this pursuit for 10 in a row this season that could scarcely have got off to a worse start in this? That's us played everyone now. We've played everyone in the league. We're not playing well. We haven't played well all season. Let's be honest. Where do you stand now, and where do you think Neil Lennon stands in terms of these fixtures coming up?
Well, my view on where we're at. I mean, if 3 one more game in hand, we're 3 points behind. That's not a sacking a manager position. But and he's called people fans' reactions hysterical. They're not hysterical. It's not. The league table is almost lying. It feels like we should be more than 3 points behind. It's not just the points and the results. It's about performance and direction and a message to the opponent that you're playing, and none of that's happening. It feels like we're going to slip further behind. Now, I think there's probably a number of reasons. One of them being Lennon. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I also think, look at our players. Look at Christie, Ayer, Edward and Cham. All of their contracts end at the end of 2022. Okay, you sell a player with 2 years to go if he doesn't sign a new deal because his value plummets. None of them have signed a new deal. They will have been approached to sign a contract. None of them have signed a contract. Okay, away from Celtic. As soon as you make a decision that you see a future away from Celtic, your desire to win games and go out and bust a gut, it must be affected. And if you've got a multitude of those players within your team, it's going to manifest itself in a malaise, and that's what we're seeing. I think that's a problem. That being said, Lennon's got to deal with that problem. If Brendan Rodgers, as much as we've lost respect for him, he would have getting more out of these people, irrespective of their contract situation, than Lennon is at the moment. And he looks pressured, he looks too stressed, he looks like it's getting on top of him. I think the players' contracts are bummed. I think the pandemic's been a problem. We've lost a lot of players to injury because of COVID. Bolingoli's given his fixture backlog because of COVID, and we're not playing in front of our fans because of COVID is harming us. It helps teams that don't like the pressure and the weight of their supporters. It hinders teams who are galvanised by it. We're galvanised by it ordinarily, and it's hindering us. And Lennon's not handling the fallout of all of these factors that are coming down, crashing together, and are leaving us on the precipice of making a complete mess of this. It's that serious. Is his job under threat? Possibly not just now, but I don't think he can afford too many more drop points. My concern is, say we do go 7 points behind, we're looking at another manager. The guy's not going to have a budget. He's going to commit. Does he want to come in and oversee the loss of 10 in a row? How are you going to sell that to players? How are you going to sell that to someone? You'll be able to sell it to somebody, but you're not going to be able to sell it to an Eddie Howe, right? So we need to be realistic as well, instead of just jumping in and saying, let's get a new manager, because there's circumstances mitigating that. So, yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you sum it up pretty well, mate. I think there's obviously been a lot of factors: injuries, suspensions, COVID, fixture backlog. All of these things are a factor, but that's management in it. You have to deal with these situations. You have to find solutions, and right now we're not doing that. I don't think that. I think it would have to get worse, pretty much worse than this, for the board to have to make a decision on Neil Lennon's position, because, as you say, who do you bring in now, and what do they do with a squad of someone else's players, a squad that someone else have, like, we've just added 4 or 5 players, 6 players during the summer there. No pre-season, no winter break, very little time on the training pitch because you have a congested season because of the fixture backlog with COVID anyway. I don't know who you would bring in, so I'm going to harp back to momentum. We need a huge momentum shift. I don't know what it is going to be, but there's no doubt we need a huge momentum shift to try and turn the tide, because the way things are going right now, it does not look good. That's all we've got time for today. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in about 2 hours' time with Twitter reactions. Cheers.